Hi guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my AFL Mid Pricers midfield edition, and we'll be going through players that I think are options, players that I don't think are really options, and why so. And I think there are a couple of big red flags from the practice matches. So before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, as this is crucial for this channel to grow. And we've seen some pretty good growth over the last 24 hours, as the video for my AFL predictions did pretty well. So now let's get into the video. So firstly here, I just have it set up again, and we'll go through the players that I think will be options, or I guess are key pointers. So first off, we have Josh Dacos, and he went huge in the practice match. He went 105 and top scored out of everyone, but he did have 87% time on ground, which was higher than most people, including more of the regulars who sat at 70 or 60% for other teams. So we got to remember that, and I feel like his average will increase from 78. I have him pegged at around 84, 85, which isn't good enough to be in my AFL Fantasy team, but is a good rise, and we really need to see him go 90, 92 for him to be able to be in our teams, but he probably isn't going to go there. And you see here, 87 last 5, 89 last 3. That's roughly just below the mark that we need him to go, but we'll see. Next one I want to talk about is, where is he? Mason Wood at 641k. Oh wait, no, I missed someone. I missed Matty Rowell, the good old Matty Rowell, and it's probably funny that I missed him because it seems like every year we want to pick him in our team because he's going to have that breakout year, but he never does, so it's probably a good thing that I missed him, because I don't think he'll be that 100-point scorer that we want him to be, especially with his tackling ratio to marks. He went, I think it was something like 6 weeks without a mark in professional footy. That's pretty pathetic. And he's only at like 7 average for tackles a game, when we need him to be up around that 8 or 9 if he's going to have such low disposals, and he's only averaging like 18 disposals, where we need him to average 22, 23 for us to be anywhere there. So he's one that we got to wait and see what he does in the first couple rounds, and then probably jump on him as a mid-pricer because we could easily get 6 to 700k quite easily from getting Callahan, and then I can get Rowell, and then I can jump out of Rowell and onto a premium. That's sort of something that I've looked at, but I'm not too confident on what Rowell does for him to be of good value in a trade up to get to him. So next up is, as I was saying, Mason Wood. He's a guy that I think is a massive red flag, as I think he can go up in like average wise, but I do think he's just, with the way St Kilda's going to play, they're going to want to play quickly, and I don't think that suits him, as he's very much so wanting to get the marks and such. So I think you just got to look at him and realize that he's not going to be, the guy that he was in the practice match. He had 15 marks or so for like 135. So you take out the 10 marks to bring him back down to his average marking of last year, and you get only 105 in a practice match. And he's not going to have, what did he have, like 30 odd disposals. He's not going to have that regularly. If we look here at his 2022 numbers, he had a 106 as his top score. And most of the time here, even 23 disposals, 23, where's that 106? Let's see, 102 here, he had 20 disposals, 21. So his most disposals is 8 or so less, as well as his most marks is 13. So he does have the capability to go, if he is going to go big, he is going to get those marks. And that's the problem, is that he's not very, like some other players I've talked about, he's very much a dry weather footy player. And I think this game might have been in the wet, and some others might have been in the wet where he doesn't do well. So he's one that I think is going to be a big red flag for people, and I don't think he's a go this year. So next up is Josh Ward, and I think where is he down here? Josh Ward is probably not an option this year, as I think Warple gets the nod over him as the main midfielder, I guess, because it's going to be him. Well, I guess Ward will probably be in the midfield anyway. I haven't really looked into the Hawthorn best 22. I'll quickly go to someone, as I think someone's done the AFL. I think someone's done their best 22 predicted. So they think it will be Josh Ward will be on the interchange, as they've got Will Day following. I don't think Will Day will be there, but and no Magnuson. That's a weird one. Yeah, no McGuinness. That's definitely a weird one, as I believe, don't they play? No. Oh. I'm mistaken there, but so there's been, I guess they're not this predicted one that doesn't have a Hawthorn tagger, which could be nice for whoever plays Hawks round 1, which would be the Bombers. So I doubt that the Bombers don't go with the tagger though. So I do, going back to what I was saying with, where is he? Ward, I do think he gets the nod as the third midfielder here, as it probably will be Warple, Ward, Newcomb, and then you got Mackenzie and Will Day. Sort of, that's their, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-man midfield, I guess. So you got that. Sicily will come in like once or twice a game as well to help out, and that's sort of a six men in the midfield type scenario there. So Ward, probably we're looking at, so if he can hold these last 5 averages, last 3 averages, he's there or thereabouts. But I think we need to see 2 or 3 games just to see, has he hit 100 consistently, and then I'll probably jump on him as the one to go over that of like Rao, because I just think there's probably more value to gain in Ward than there is to gain in Rao. Next up on my list that I want to talk about is, where is he? Setterfield here. Setterfield, I think, is actually a really interesting one, and I think it's a good player of difference, especially with, if we look again up here, you're going to have your 3 main mids, right? And then Tom Green looks to be that 700k guy that you want to go for, and then you've got either Callahan or Warple, and then you've got these 3 mids as well. So you're basically set in stone to have almost, these 3 are set. Then you've got Warple or Callahan, and then you've got, so you basically have a choice between Green, Setterfield, or someone in that 600k range, and then Callahan, Warple, Sheed. I've seen at M5 as well. So I think Setterfield is a good player of difference, especially because Callahan's at 17, Green's at 23. If Setterfield's at 1% and he does really well, then you're laughing at that point. But if Green at 23% does really well, I just want to see 21%. So a lot of my guys here are high ownership players, which, except for Petrarca, is a guy that I'm taking a risk on, I guess. But most of that, outside of that, my team's pretty, except for Flanders. I think I have 2 player of differences, and McGrath's at 12% now, so that's fine. So I got 2 real pods in my team now, that it means that I'm taking a risk. Obviously you have to take some risk, but I think they're risks that I'm willing to take, and I think Setterfield would be a risk that I'd be willing to take if I had the cash to be able to go instead of Callahan up to Setterfield, as I think that would just even out my team a lot more. But I don't have the cash, which I guess is the thing that sucks. And yeah, I think he's a very, very good option. I think he goes and averages 85 or so, and that's what you need out of him. And then you can upgrade him because he has a pretty good run in here. You can upgrade him, even be that first guy that upgrades, or maybe you ride him out till round 7 or 8 and upgrade him then. But he could be an early guy that you upgrade to get another premium. So that's all for the 600k range, and now let's go down to the 500 to 599 range. And you got obviously Dom Sheed. What's he at now? 17%. So it's not as bad now as what I thought. He was somewhere in the practice matches, he was around 23, 24%. And even though he missed because he had, I think, a wedding or something like that, he's dropped quite considerably. And I think other people have found other options as well. So I think Dom Sheed is a very, very good choice here. He's sitting at 591. He has the capabilities to go 90s, which would be an increase of 200k, and that's exactly what you're looking for those mid prices. And yeah, he's just a very, very good option, I think. I think he's very unlucky to miss out on my team, as was Setterfield. They're sort of the same type of very, very similar range. And I think there's just more value in picking up like definites in Brayshaw. McRae is definitely going to sit there. Petrarca, I guess, gambling on him doing and going and scoring 110 or so. And I have 3 definites here. Doherty's a definite as well, like a keeper. McGrath's probably going to have to turn into a keeper, so it's another guy I'm gambling on. So that's, 5, hopefully. Hopefully Yo turns into a keeper. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if McGrath turns out to be the guy that I want him to be, I've got 12 guys that I don't have to trade out. And if McGrath doesn't, then that's 11. So Dom Sheed just couldn't pick, because of me trying to go for a lot of definite players, like players that I'm going to keep. Dom Sheed, I needed that extra little bit of cash, and Dom Sheed was the one that slides out. And I also needed, I guess, cash to fill out the bench, as I needed almost another, 180 or so K. And that was sort of the difference between Callahan and Sheed. So that's one of the reasons. Next up, Dylan Stephens. I'm probably a little bit biased as I'm really high on him, but the only problem I have with him is that he really needs to go like 85, and sort of the similar with Josh Dacos is that without those inside inside mid minutes, he's not going to get good scores. That's the problem. He's not going to regularly get the ball. Like, he's not like in my mind, like an Amond or someone like that can literally get the scores on the outside no matter what. He's one of the, I think Stephens does step it up to be that like 75, 80 guy. It's just a problem of there's probably better value in Dom Sheed as well, will go up more. So you have him instead of Dylan Stephens. So there's just better guys out there. Lockie Aish is someone that I think hasn't been picked up as someone that could jump quite ridiculously, as if we look here, he's 65 average, so he's coming in at 65, and I believe it was a couple of years ago he sat at a lot higher. If we look at 2021, 77, 2020, 43. So if we look at 2021 again, he averaged 77, so that's already plus 12, right? And the problem here is I don't know whether he was necessarily in a tagging role or not, and that's why his points decreased. I haven't really looked that much into the Giants, and I don't know if he comes out of a tagging role if he was in a tagging role. So that's the problem with Lockie Aish, and I think that's why he has such low ownership. And then next, there's not really anyone that I really think we need to talk about in this next region. Horn Francis will talked about in the forwards. A lot of these guys are just overpriced rookies overpriced second year players that aren't going to do that well. So that's why they're there. And then we go down to the 400k region, and there's quite a couple people here that we need to talk about. Even Tom Power will talk about in the forwards edition, as he's popped up a little bit. And then the next guy we need to talk about is Jai Cully. He's priced at 55, right? So if we need him if we pick him on our team, we're picking him to go probably 72, 73. And considering he averaged 75 outside of this one game last year where he had a shocker, I think it was his suspension game where he might have also got injured in the game. So if we look at that, he averages 75 or probably more, like 77, 78, I think. Somewhere in that region. So, yeah, I think it's 78. So 78 outside of that's exactly what we're looking for with Jai Culley. And he's been touted to actually win the Rising Star by some people over the likes of Ashcroft. Callahan's in the same conversation as well. It's just a problem of for me not picking him, it's because does the likes of Jinby's going to get the opportunity over him, in my opinion. There's going to be other players coming back that get the opportunity over him, in my opinion. So does he actually get the output that we saw last year? And I don't think he does. So that's why he's not the team. Taron Thomas we'll talk about in the forwards edition. Tanner Bruin, I guess. Now, a lot of these guys we're talking about in the forward edition. So forward edition should be jam-packed full of these really low guys. Then you got Warple, who's a pure mid at 52 average last year. He's probably a name that many people are surprised that I do not have, and he is a massive risk considering he's 30% owned. And I just hope he doesn't score more than 80 odd in a week, because I really cannot have him getting too much. If he does go and put up really woeful scores, gets dropped, etc., I've done really well. But if he goes and scores really well, then I'm a little bit behind, I guess. So he's a little bit too expensive for the team structure that I have at the moment, so it would cause a restructuring. I guess it's sort of the same boat as Dom Sheed, as that it would cause me probably to lose a couple of my, I guess, PODs in Flanders and Petrarca. Someone would have to shift so to get Warple, and I just feel like it'd be almost going too mainstream with him. So I think I need a little bit more player difference, and he's a guy that I'm not gonna probably pick, as I don't like his disposal efficiency, and I feel like he could be dropped because of that in the coming round 7, round 8, somewhere around there. Oscar Baker, I think, is a guy that people will fall into the trap of. Okay, only 1% owned. That could be 0.5 of that would probably be just West Bulldogs full teams or whatever. But I just don't like the job security, as shown in the fact that he only played in the practice match due to injuries. So, and no midfielders were actually injured. So he doesn't probably get any closer to playing. Maybe a little bit due to his performance, but not because of any injuries or anything like that. Obviously, he's put a good name for himself forward, but the midfield's already stacked with players that are effectively undroppable in McRae, Libba, Baz, and Bont. And then you've got other players as well in the Dogs midfield that will come in. Other players that I think are just ahead of Oscar Baker. So I think for that reason you can't pick him. And I wish he was a rookie guy, because if he was rookie priced, I think he played one game a year and a half ago or something, to end the season. If we look at 2021, and it got 73. If he didn't get that 73, we'd be looking at a rookie price guy that he might play round 1 or something, but he would be something I think we'd be willing to jump on if he was 200k. So now let's look. You've got no one else really, and then the last guy we got to talk about here is Finn Callaghan. Finn Callaghan is 406k, 19-year-old. He's priced at, I think it's roughly 45 or so. So that's really good. And he did really well in the practice match with 88 fantasy score with 66% time on ground. And he had 73% time on ground last year. So obviously he's not going to go and if we took his practice match score and had 73%, that would get him roughly up to 97. I don't think he's going to average 97. That would be quite unrealistic, but quite good if he did. But I think he could hold 80 average for the whole season, and 80 average would get him close to 680, 690, I believe it is, around that. Let me just double check. 80 times by... that would get him actually up to 708k, which would be huge. It'd be 300k gain, and you could get him pretty much with another rookie up to someone around that 900k range, which would be good. Let me just quickly check any midfielders around that range. That would be good. Like, you could get him up to probably a Cripps or someone else here, like even an Ollie Wines I'm looking at. I want to see some more data out of him. But if he starts the season off well, he could be the upgrade target for someone here, which would be really good. And then obviously that would help quite dramatically, as I think there isn't much. I'd love to get my defenders up very quickly, but I don't think there's much there for the defenders this year, as Sinclair, Dawson, etc. So Callahan would be probably the first one to go up to someone big, hopefully, pretty quickly. But yes, so that's my AFL Fantasy Mid-Pricer review edition. I've got still the forwards to do. The rucks I'll do in one video because they're very simple. And then we got 4 more of these to go. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that'll be that for the mid-prices up to the start of the season. So that'll be good. And then there'll be other videos coming out, some reviews, as well as probably on Wednesday will be the AFL Fantasy team reveal. And then we'll see. I might do a quick video on Thursday night with the teams and who's not there, who's there, etc. for a lot of these guys. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you guys in another video.